And it goes right now. See you, Stevie.
Hey, this is Wicked Spursy, Mike, Steve, just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
We can make this podcast if we really tried.
Yeah, we'll see after what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Thanks, Mike, for hosting another spectacular barbecue. It was an absolute pleasure to spend some time with everybody. I know the kiddo really had a great time, and I did as well. So thanks again. The food, everything was just spectacular. Great atmosphere, great environment. Very relaxing.
Oh, good.
Zen, even.
Zen. Look at that. Look at that. I feel like I'm reaching the max for my beard right now. I'm looking at your beard. I think I'm good right here with this length. Maybe a little bit longer on the
Yeah.
upside, but yeah, I think this is a good look for the old man here. So I think that's what I'm going to go with from now on. Just this length that I want to grow it long and look like a spaced out fish tour Wookie, you know?
Yes, yes, excellent. Absolutely, you should do that.
So anyway, on the Wicked Spursy podcast, so basically for any of you who didn't catch our live stream, basically what happened was that uh, Liverpool Jimmy was streaming a fucking football game and ate up all the bandwidth, and we had a kind of a it was an iffy connection to begin with because it was outdoors, and I can't afford the mesh network and all that shit. So, I have my little Xfinity pods that you place around the house that's supposed to act like a mesh network, but it's more like a repeater. So, um, yeah, all the bandwidth got eaten up on the Wi-Fi, and we'll blame Liverpool Jimmy for that. Um,
That sounds good to me. It's
yeah,
always Liverpool.
yeah. I mean, it is. Well, it he didn't complain, so I mean that's good. Um, but so yeah, we lost it, and the great thing about what happened was that Brian from Rhode Island just continued to talk because he was remote, and and it actually turned out pretty well. It was it was the whole Brian from Rhode Island Wicked Spursy session. So I thought I had lost it. I thought I had lost the entire recording. I did not lose the entire recording. Um, I did some things on the back end and saved the whole damn thing. I did some clever editing, and basically it ends with "Hey Mike, what you drinking?" and just picks up with Brian from Rhode Island, and he killed it for a good 15 minutes. So it was like a 30-minute podcast. So we're going to use that as the live reaction podcast, um, which I think was actually pretty good. Was actually pretty good. So
And it was
um,
totally intentional, of course, from the beginning.
right, yes, yeah. Yeah. I so Wicked Spursy barbecue was great. We had some great food, great fun with friends. I had a grease spill over from the hamburgers that I cooked on the griddle, and I didn't know that the grease trap was full from previous uses. Um, so that happened, but like the food was all good, man. And then I actually it was like the first time at my one of my own cookouts or barbecues that I've actually gotten to sit down and relax a little bit, which is great. Um, After most of the folks left, Liverpool Jimmy and Gooner Will stuck around, and we shot the shit. We threw some bags, and just hung out, and it was actually great catching up with them and not having to talk about football with Gooner Will, But I only like to talk Vermont Green with him.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do without a packet of crayons.
That's true. That's true, Steve. But you want to talk some football because I went back and did a rewatch, and I do have a couple of maybe new thoughts that we haven't covered, or
Ooh, new thoughts.
maybe
I've
not.
got the same old one that I'm going to be harping on for a while.
Great, great.
Vindication.
So Steve got his vindication for Decky, which is wonderful. So yeah, why don't we start off with kind of what we saw from the get go, and we'll just take it from here and see where the night leads us.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, for me, it was all about improving in that final third, right? Like, if you think back to match week one, a lot of the issues that we had were trying to play a little bit too cutesy with players who maybe weren't equipped for it. And it's like that old IT crowd joke, they're just trying to walk it in, um, which is honestly what was kind of happening. And right from the get go, right, our first goal, absolute banger from just outside the box, which just goes to show that when you take some of these speculative shots, sometimes it works out for you. But one of the things that I also really appreciated was a more diverse game plan. We were trying different things. Were pushing from different angles. It wasn't all coming through the exact same sequence of play. And for me, that sort of variety in tactics is how you unlock some of these stubborn teams. I mean, it is Everton, and they do kind of suck ass, but um, at the same time, there have been Spurs teams of yore that would have absolutely found themselves frustrated and unable to break it down, and we would have had like a boring 0-0 draw. So the fact that we were able to not just score, but score a couple of really spectacular goals, it's a credit to a lot of positive changes that we had from an attacking perspective. I maintain having Decky play through the middle is an absolute game changer for us. The way that he just shifts his body and controls the ball all at the same time, like no, we know he doesn't have the speed. We know he's not going to, outrun most players out there, but what he does is just so brilliant for a guy his size. He can hold the ball, he can shield it, but then he has some of these just divine, sorry, not Alfie, but touches where he just like ghosts his way through players, keeps the ball in really tight situations, and sometimes he's taking shots on himself, others he's setting him up, and the way he set up Basuma for the opener was just spectacular for me. I was really happy with him down the middle. And the other piece, and I'm going to pass this over to you, Mike, because I'm sure people don't want to listen to me talk all the time. Uh, the other person that I was impressed by, and I'll let you pick it up, was our new signing Odebear out on the wing. 19-year-old dribbly, pacey guy. What do you make of him?
So I know that like Dave always digs me out for my it wasn't hatred, but like I wasn't fully bought into Manor Solomon. Um, last year, I thought he was a bit too dribbly. We didn't need that in our club, because like he had come in at the time he had come in to spell Perisic, right? Um, who in the beginning of the season, Perisic was the nail on starter on the left because Sonny was playing through the middle. And and I never really bought into Manor Solomon. Sessignon wasn't going to be the guy there. Just we needed someone who was young with a lot of talent, and who wasn't going to be a band aid. Um, now, um, having some time to have thought about it, I don't know that the Timo signing now was that great of a signing. I thought at the time it was, but like if he's not going to be used over there, especially with Son, and he's going to be used on the other side, his body positioning is all wrong on the right hand side. But I think that having somebody like Odebear there, someone who's young, and just like I said before with Pedro Porro, with the Dogi is like not necessarily the best on the ball with a Dogi, and not necessarily the best defender with Pedro Porro. Young players who are able to be molded, who are able to be coached and taught how to play in a certain way. And Odebear is his footwork is great. He is so fucking fast. Um, he is a never give up guy. He goes out there and I think you mentioned it at the barbecue on that podcast was like if he doesn't if he doesn't get past it the first time, he's going to run into and then he's going to just keep trying and trying and trying and until he gets it, and he's going to try different things each time. He's great on the dribble and he's great and he's not just fast, he's quick, he's quick with a move, he's quick to get around a guy. And I think that like anybody who can beat a man on the off the ball is for me um probably going to be heavily used. And I think that we have guys in Decky, we have guys in Son who are able to play multiple positions. We see that with Decky and Son, like you had mentioned, like they were kind of for me. I don't know if it's just me in my minuscule soccer mind, but I was watching this game going. I think that both Son and Decky are playing false nine at the same time. I think Decky was, initially playing more of that Papsar role, but like it seemed like they were both playing both of that position. There was nobody playing that traditional nine role. I think that really fucked up Tarkowski and Michael Keane. Um, because a couple of times both those guys switched off, So when you have a guy like Odebear there, you're able to do what you want to do with your Decky and Sun combination, right? And you're gonna have somebody in the future who's going to be able to come in as a squad player, come in as a rotation player. It's phenomenal what we've got going on with these youngsters.
Yeah, and you said something in particular that I really want to stress. It's that with Oda Bear, he does something different, which I think is a big difference from another pacey dribbler that we've had in our squad in the past, and Lucas Mora. He's somebody who doesn't always try the exact same thing. He still takes on his defender, but he's not doing it the exact same way. He's not as so far. I mean, things might change. He's 19. We've seen him for one game so far, but in that one game, he wasn't necessarily predictable, and that is where some of these pacey wingers they kind of fall into a trap. If you are too predictable and you're not at that like elite world class level, you're just not going to improve all that much. People are going to figure you out. There are players that could get away with it over time. Like Robin's one that comes to mind. You always knew what he was going to
Hmm.
do, but it didn't matter because he was a fucking world class player and could get away with it. Not everybody is him. And once defenders kind of figure out your shtick, you're screwed. So for him to throw some of that variety in there, it instills doubt in the defenders. They're thinking, is he going to try to work his way past me? Or is he going to go for the overlap? Is he going to cut back inside? And those split second decisions, if they are not on top of it, eventually he's getting through. If it's not the first time, it's not the second time, he'll keep going at it, trying different things, and eventually he's making it through and he's creating a chance. And that's something that is it's just so refreshing to see.
And
Um,
Steve, just watching you mentioned the overlaps and watching the way that he was overlapping with Madison, um, and and doing the little give and go and the 1-2 punches. Like I think I think that maybe that's somebody that is the type of guy that Madison needs to have back there with him on that side, with him who they can he can play the 1-2 game with, because if he gets the ball to Madison in the corner and it cuts back in, he's gonna find himself scoring goals too, and vice versa. I think it's gonna make Madison a better player, and I think it's gonna make Madison more effective when you can't have three guys closing in on Madison because they know he's the only distributor there. You have three guys closing in on Madison. One of them's gonna kick his fucking ankles out from underneath him, and he's going to get injured again. Luckily we have squad depth this year, and I think that's what a lot of these young players bring is squad depth, and it's going to be an interesting project to watch in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That versatility, that depth, I mean, it's spectacular. And even when you hear like Sons talking about how, uh, maybe he's not as suited going down the middle, which I think all of us kind of knew. Um, the fact of the matter is, there's that versatility there that allows them to interchange positions and again add that level of doubt into the defense, right? Again, if they can't predict where you're going to pop up and what you're going to do, you're much harder to defend. uh, and so when you have players like Decky, like Odebear, Son, Madison, who I again am just going to say he's starting to change my mind in a very positive way. He's doing a lot more, you know, during the season than he was doing in the preseason, which led me to criticize him. So, I'm happy to be wrong in this instance because Madison firing on all cylinders certainly helps us out quite a bit. Um, but even the defense, our defenders are just they are in tune with what we're doing offensively. I mean, just take a look at Mickey opening up Sun for his goal. Right, he saw the path, he saw what he needed to do, and he was not afraid to go for it. But when he does that, right, you see players from the midfield drop back and protect that space a little bit more. Um, so it's we're talking a lot about the versatility and the impact of the front players, rightly so. It was a big turnaround from match week one. But defense is where a lot of this starts and stops. And, those guys back there are instrumental to playing the way that Ange wants to play. And they do it well. There are lapses in judgment. Yes, there are stupid boneheaded mistakes that get made. But by and large, I mean, they're huge players. And you hear journalists and teammates talk about Romero in particular as being somebody who's really growing at that leadership role. Um, it's fantastic to hear. And then Pedro Porro, I mean, what a guy. There is a player who, people should be really excited to have on their team. And it just makes me so happy. You were pointing it out while we were watching the game, right, to your son, talking about how when he misses a chance, he's not like head in hands. He's not,
Pissing and moaning.
exactly. He kind of just has a smile on his face, like, next time it's gonna be me. Next time.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it. Like that. I was gonna say, like, we always talk about Son and that infectious smile, and Son's infectious smile comes from the pure joy of the game. And I don't think it's any different for Pedro Porro, except I think Pedro Porro likes being the guy who like nearly gets that one over on you, or sometimes gets that one over on you. And I think he enjoys that role, and I think he's fully embracing this inverted wing back role. And I do have to mention that when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, um, it was I misquoted my source, and it was not he did not lead the league in block shots. He led the league in blocks total. So from that position, not from the not in the entire league, but from that position, from the right back position, he led the league in blocks total. That includes block passes and block shots. So um, I'm correcting myself here on Wicked Spursy 2 episodes later.
Hey, imagine that. People taking accountability for making a mistake and rectifying that. We're in an age of just double down, ignore it, hope people forget. Good for you, Mike.
Thanks, buddy. I make a lot of mistakes.
Hey, we're all
Luckily,
human. We all
luckily,
make
most of them are
mistakes.
not in my job, because
Fair enough.
that would be pretty terrible.
That's
But
fair.
anyway,
That's fair.
anyway, let's keep on this Romero thing because Romero had a beautiful goal. Um, Romero, and it was actually a beautiful ball in from Madison. And that's what he does. That's what Madison does. Is he can cross the ball, he can put in a free kick. He can take those corners from either side. That's what Madison gives you. And um, the goal for Romero came in and he was in the right spot. He is positionally he was phenomenal. Um, and he was able to jump over James Tarkowski, who is 3 inches taller than him, um, and sandwich himself between Tarkowski and Michael Keane. And what a fucking header! I mean, pinpoint accurate header, um, put in with force, and a bit of an exclamation point there. I love that we're scoring off of set pieces. I love that we have that threat in our tackle box. Um, and I just love I love watching I love watching Romero. And we heard all of this stuff about how he was going to be he was going to be sold to Real Madrid, and we weren't going to have a choice over that. And if Real Madrid comes knocking, you sell. And Daniel Levy went, it's not fucking happening. And Romero came out on his social media and said, it's not fucking happening. I'm happy here. And he showed his love for the club when he pointed at the badge and then made his heart, with his hands to the crowd instead of doing a typical celebration. I really like Christian Romero, and for all of the stuff in the past and the stuff with his Argentinian national team, which he wasn't involved with but didn't stop.
Yep.
I think that Christian Romero for me is growing into that leadership role, like you had said, and I love it. And what's even better about this, Steve, is that our first two goals were not scored by forwards.
Son,
No, Son scored the third goal, right? Wasn't Sonny the
second.
third? Oh, he was the second one. Okay, so two of our four goals then were were not they were, for lack of a better term. I mean, I guess you could say Basuma's a defensive midfielder, so they're defenders. We've had defenders scoring goals this year.
Yeah, and
I mean, we had that last year too. So I mean, it's not just the Son show. It's not just the Decky show. It's not just the Brennan Johnson show,
the Florida Man
or
show.
or the Madison show, or the Kane show, or whomever else, the Delhi show. It's not just one spectacular forward or winger. It's everybody is getting in on the act, and I think if we continue that way, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that second goal as well, because for me, that is why Ange wants these players pushing constantly. It's that whole defend from the front mentality. The reason we got that second goal is because Son put Pickford under pressure, and
Oh,
lo and
right. Yes,
behold,
that's
dude
right.
made a mistake. It doesn't always happen, but when you force goalkeepers or defenders or whoever into these situations where suddenly they need to react really quickly, they need to make a split second decision. And if it doesn't go their way, it's a turnover. You see that more often than not, they just boot the ball out and we get a throw in. But every once in a while, you get an absolute gem where you get to pick their pocket and tap it in for an easy goal.
I think that's a lot to do with game planning, with understanding what the keeper does. Guys taking notes and using those notes effectively, because that's kind of one of the things that Pickford always does. Pickford's one of those, like, crazy crazy eyed sweeper keepers, right? He likes to come out a lot. He likes to take chances. Um, he's kind of in the same lunatic vein as Vicario, right? Um, Maybe a little more angry and loony than Vicario, but Pickford's one of Pickford's things is that it's just good scouting. One of his things that he does is he likes to, side foot and sweep that ball when it comes back into him from right or left back. He likes to sweep the ball to the side so he can get a good open kick on the ball, or pass it short if he has to. And I think that the scouting and the game planning um, came into effect. I mean, it's part of the Ange system, and with managers past, we probably wouldn't have been pressing that hard, right? Um, because those managers relied on a lot of counter-attacking football and that kind of stuff. If we hadn't been playing Ange ball right there and we weren't pressing so hard and hadn't scouted Pickford, knowing what he does with the ball every time he gets the ball returned to him, I don't think Son is right there in that position because he was like full sprint, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? There is another question mark about, well, all of this. And that question is, hey, Mike, what you drinking?
Hey, buddy. You know, Steve, I love when you ask that question, and you didn't catch me off guard this time, which is great.
Damn, I'll have to try harder.
um, I was just drinking a Bush Light because I had a hard day at work, and so I had to settle down with a nice American lager, light lager. But I am today. I'm really excited to do this because I didn't get to finish it. I was going to say 3.6, by the way, um, at the
Well, it would have
barbecue
been,
before the internet went out.
I still would have been off.
um. So anyway, today I'm going to do one of the beers that Steve brought me. Because a couple of weeks ago I gave him shit because his sister always like comes through with the cool beers, and I'm not a huge fan of sours, but we're gonna give this one a try. This has got a really super super cool label. I'm gonna show it here. Oop, there it is. Betty's Blackberry Cobbler. I love the taste of blackberry. I love blackberry anything. This has got a really really cool label. I gotta get my camera stuff straight, but like it's just got a lot of cool stuff on it. It's a very busy. I'm assuming this is a sour. Is it like this is from Zool?
Yeah, to Knoxville,
XUL.
Tennessee.
Knoxville, Tennessee. 6.4% alcohol. It's a gluten-free sour. Gluten-free sour. All right, man.
This is where things get interesting.
I know because I don't like gluten-free beer, Steve. I'm going to put it in my
This,
cool Trogs glass.
yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm quite excited.
Jesus Christ. Steve, fucking A.
So, yep.
Does this look like a beer? I don't know. It looks
literally just like it almost kind of looks like a like a paste, like a blackberry paste.
this is dude, okay, so there's no head on this beer. It looks like I just poured myself a big glass of fucking fizzy red wine. Like red wine that's gone
Yeah.
bad. It smells really good though. It smells like blackberries. That's all it smells like. I mean, sours always do that to you. It does. It does have that yeasty kind of quality that a sour will have, like that heavy, hard yeast smell. Um, when you usually with a fruited sour, they'll use lactose to kind of dumb it down a little bit to make it creamier and smoother. But this one has no lactose in it, so we're gonna see what's going on. It's lactose free, and Steve, and it's gluten free. So here's to you, ma.
Here we go. This should be an interesting one.
I don't hate it, man. Dude, okay, so I'm okay. Let's get after this here because like there's a lot to unpack here. I don't fucking get it. It tasted like blackberry cobbler.
Yeah.
It legitimately tastes. You can taste like you can taste the blackberry filling. It's like you have the blackberry filling. It tastes like a lot of sugar in this. I don't know, um, but it tastes like the blackberry filling, and then you get almost like the taste of the cobbler topping on top of it with it on the back end.
Oh yeah.
This is an odd beer. This is bananas, dude. No, it's not bananas. It's blackberries.
Hey, yeah, Dave got to try the other one while we were there, and I think his description is probably suitable for this in that he had stated it's just dessert. Like it just tastes like dessert.
It is. It's like, you know what? It's like at the next holiday dinner, it's gonna be like, "Hey, Mike, you want a piece of that pie?" And I'm gonna be like, "Nope, I'm gonna have one of these."
I'm drinking my pie.
Yeah, dude,
Okay, I guess.
it tastes like pie. It tastes like a 1950s housewife dropped their blackberry cobbler and their blackberry pie into my beer.
And at 6.4% too. That's it's a pretty fun one.
Yeah, I'm gonna drink a lot. I could drink a lot of this. I don't.
Yeah, I found that
Zool.
a lot of their beers that they put out like that are kind of dangerous.
I expected it to be a little scary, but like there is no Dana, only Zool.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
So Betty, for me, for this style, for this beer, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to give you a nice 3.9.
Damn. I was going to go 3.8.
um,
So close.
yeah. Um, let's see. What are we gonna do? This song. This Are we doing songs? No, we're gonna do.
Yeah, do a player.
Let's do player. Let's do a player. Hmm. This is a tough one. Um,
A nice dessert player.
somebody likes to just come on and at the end of the game to kind
Yeah,
of
it's a nice sweet way to finish your main entree that is Premier League football.
a nice finisher. You know what? Let's go with Lucas Mora.
Ooh.
Yeah, because Lucas Mora likes to come in at the end of games and finish it off for you. So um no, Lucas Mora is not a 3.9 type of a player. He's more like a 3.2 type of a player. Um and I used Coco already. Boy, this is tough. This is tough because it's not a Musa Dembele. It's not a Christian Eriksen. You know who's really sweet is Papsar. He's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
He's a 3.9. He's not always like the best player in the field, but he's never the worst.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. That's a good choice. Rapsar.
A nice sweet player.
Nice blackberry cobbler of a player.
He is a blackberry cobbler, isn't he?
Are we getting too close to PC territory?
I did that already in the reaction pod accidentally.
Oh
So
boy.
yeah, so we no
So that's
he
a Betty's blackberry cobbler.
from Zool XUL
Yeah,
beer company.
Knoxville, Tennessee, 3.9. Woo, what a fun one. And now we can start to look ahead, which should be I'm really excited to ask you this question, Mike, which is completely separate from what I normally ask you. How are you feeling about our next game away at the Saudi FC?
Always. I mean, okay, St. James Park is not the most friendly of places to play. Um, their fans they're a little bit rough around the edges typically. I don't have a real problem with the team, the players. I do have a problem with one player, and it sucks that I have a problem with him because he's such a fucking brilliant player. Is Bruno Guimaraes.
Oh yeah,
I cannot stand him. I think he's like the dirtiest player in the Premier League. Um, and that's saying a lot. And he gets away with a lot of it. It's like uh, I don't. There was a basketball player back in the day, John Stockton. I don't know if a lot of people know who John Stockton is, but John Stockton was the sneakiliest dirty player I've ever seen. Dirty, it's sneakily.
Sneakily.
He got away with a lot of dirty elbows, a lot of defensive dirty play when he was playing in the league, and he's always known as one of the greatest point guards of all time. But he got away with being probably the dirtiest player I mean, Dennis Rodman was a Bill Lane Beer, like those guys were the bad boy era of the Detroit Pistons. Those guys were outwardly dirty, but sneaky dirty. Nobody beat John Stockton. Um, so I think that's what I feel about Bruno Gomes. But like he's such a brilliant fucking player that you gotta at least appreciate his game. I think the Newcastle is a team that is coming off their first Champions League in years and years, and um, they just weren't ready for prime time at that point, right? They didn't have squad depth. They really still don't. They have a lot of brilliant players, and I think that you're going to go to St. James Park. I think that Spurs need to go there, and they need to win, and they need to win in a fashion that kind of closes the book on this we can't play there bullshit, because we go there and we get fucking stumped the past few seasons. Excuse me. Um, Jesus Christ, this beer's coming back to haunt me already. Um, um, so I think that like Newcastle has the ability to be a top team. And I just don't think that they are right now. But like I said, anything can happen at St. James's Park. I'm going to be down at on the lake at our good friend Trey's house, watching with my other good friend Natalie, who is she is the international president of the she sits on the board of Newcastle for the supporters for international supporters groups. So um, she is what do they call themselves? The Geordies. She is an American Geordie, I guess, if you will, and um, she's one of the good supporters. So I'll be watching with her, and I'll be watching with Brian from Rhode Island, and it's going to be a great weekend.
Nice. Now, the interesting thing for me is that Newcastle has a midweek fixture.
They do the Europa Conference League, correct?
No, EFL
Or is
second
it?
round.
Oh, it's EFL second round.
Yep. So they're away to Nottingham Forest on Wednesday before we go to St. James Park on Sunday. Um, and
Oh,
I don't
that
know that
presents
that
something.
necessarily means anything so early in the season, but it is of note. Um, I mean, honestly, for me, I would have expected they started this campaign a lot stronger than they have. They beat Southampton 1-0 at home and barely drew to Bournemouth. Um, you know, this doesn't speak volumes to what that team is capable of doing, and it's got me a little bit concerned, particularly if they have a similarly disappointing performance on Wednesday. I'm always scared of these teams that should be playing better than they do, because invariably they show up against Spurs and play like they're in a fucking Champions League final, and it always scars me. Uh, I'm preparing myself for fucking Pope to have a goddamn like Superman game where he's just
Listen,
fucking flying across the goal, blocking every fucking shot.
he does
Uh,
that against us.
it drives me nuts. But they've got the quality, they've got the players who can, really hurt us in a lot of situations. They just haven't shown it yet, and that has me concerns that we are looking at a potentially um, uncomfortable fixture on Sunday. A lot can happen in the next week. We could see some transfer activity in either squad. We could see some um, injuries or something that might pop up, whether it's in training or during their EFL second round match. Who knows? But based on based on current results, I have to feel like we should win this game, even if it is away from home. And that has me super concerned that we are not.
Well, I mean, they have, they have a. I'm not gonna say great coach, but like, um, he's a very capable, good coach, a very good coach, and Eddie Howe. Um, they have players that could be world class players. Joel Linton, Anthony Gordon. Um, we saw we've been burned a couple of years back by guys like Miggy Almiron, who's been coming off the bench. They don't lack for attacking presence. They have Isak and Harvey Barnes. Like this team, they have great individual players. If this is the team that's going to show up and put one together after what in my view was absolutely a loss to Bournemouth. It was one of those draws that was a loss, especially um, after a questionable VAR call where the on-field referee didn't even go to the monitor when he should have. The ball came off a player's shoulder. Um, Obviously, he got up and he completely missed the header, but it hit his shoulder and went in. Um, just leads to more questions about what is the handball rule. His hands were down by his side. It's not like he was vaulting himself off another player and his arm got out of position. It just hit off his shoulder. You know, what is the rule? Uh, so Newcastle lost that game. Bournemouth, for most of that match, was just dominating them without their previous talisman, who is now at Spurs. So I mean, I don't know what to expect. It's hard to sit here and say, it's not, you can't be like Nicky Winks was a couple weeks ago. We're going to kick the shit out of them. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think it's going to be a really close game, and I think we're lucky. I think we're lucky, and I think we're fortunate if we come out of St. James's Park with a draw, uh, maybe a 2-2.
Yeah, I really want us to win that game and have it be another convincing win, but I'm just, I've seen this before where, all signs point to Spurs coming out on top and it just doesn't go our way. I just don't feel good about anything more than a draw. I want to say, yeah, we're going to win this game. It's going to be, our revenge for the last couple of years of getting smacked around at St. James Park. But man, I've watched too much Spurs. I know better than to expect them to do what I would like them to do.
So, I mean, as far as like a lineup, what are you expecting to see out there? Because um, we see certain players coming along, and I think it's important to kind of look at where where each of these young players are in their development, and at the same time look at what players are going to be best playing against which teams. So it mean for you that Decky doesn't get another shot in that same position because it's a different team, it's a different setup, a quicker team who can catch you out on transitions, and we know that Papsar is fantastic on tracking back, defending, and transitioning into an attack. I mean, he may be better than Decky is, or do we see Papsar come in and maybe Decky goes out to the right for Brennan Johnson, and Brennan Johnson comes in at the end to run a tired legs?
If there's anything that I've learned so far this season, it's that I have no fucking clue what Ange is thinking.
No shit.
I I wouldn't be surprised if we rolled out the exact same lineup, to be honest. I think,
Oh,
Ange is the type of guy who isn't going to well, he's not going to say that he's tweaking things based on his opponents. He's going to say, we're going out there to play our game and a story. And I think this is a situation in which that's more likely what he's going to want to do, try to play our game and really push them. Um, so I honestly wouldn't be shocked if it was an unchanged 11 going into it. I think that could potentially work really well. It could offer some really interesting dynamics, particularly in the midfield versus Newcastle's midfield. That said, if he did make some changes, I would expect them to be so fucking far out of left fields that you're just sitting there like, seriously, like what the fuck is he thinking? Like if he rolled Decky out as a striker for whatever reason, that would be shocking, but not shocking at the same time. I don't think he's going to do that. Um, but I think the only thing that I can predict with certainty is that the back four is going to be unchanged.
I think
That
that
100%.
100%. I think Madison slots in at the 10.
Yeah.
And
Otherwise, who the fuck knows?
Solanke plays up front if he's healthy.
Yeah, if he's healthy. There's question marks about Johnson. He hasn't exactly lit the world aflame. But Decky has played better in that midfield role, and it almost seems like that's kind of the position that Ange wants him in for this season. So maybe we see Odegaard's son supporting Solanke. I don't know. Midfield's another one. Is Bentancur going to be fine from concussion protocol? I don't know. Is he going to slot in if he is fine?
I don't think so. I think Basuma slots right back in. I think Basuma had a good enough game, and he showed that he wants to be there. So
yeah, I would agree with
and
you.
I think overall Basuma is probably the better player.
Yeah, right now I think you're absolutely right. I do think just on the subject of Bentancur in the midfield, I do think they need to take that one pretty seriously and maybe even keep him out of the squad through international break to let him really recover. I'm still thinking back to Vertonghen's interview from a little while ago, where he was talking about how his head injury really fucked with him for a long time. Um, and I don't want to see another player go through that when we've heard these firsthand accounts of how dangerous it is and how, not just from a physical perspective, but from a mental and emotional perspective as well. I don't want Bentancur to be rushed back to then, almost have these sort of, anxious feelings whenever he has to go and challenge for a ball because he doesn't want to end up in a similar situation or, God forbid, with even worse damage done. Um, there's a lot there, and I really hope that Ange and the club takes it seriously and eases him back into it. He's one that I don't think you rush him back, and I think we have the depth in that position where you can afford to keep him out for a little while longer.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. So
Excellent.
I think we covered a lot. Considering that we covered a little bit on Saturday. So I like this. I like a little bit of an instant reaction podcast, like a little short instant reaction podcast, followed by the long form pod too. Sounds like
Yes,
something
it's
we could
quite
lean
nice.
into maybe in the future. Um,
Absolutely.
anyway, so yeah, next week we will return. I don't know what day we've decided to do it because it is a holiday weekend. So we're gonna talk about that as a group, and we'll figure out who's gonna feature on it in the next episode of Wicked Spursy. But stay tuned because this channel will have some fun stuff coming at you.
I sure hope so. Fucking Nikki Wiggs coming in here. Oh, I thought this was for next week.
Can you imagine like how many texts did I put out today?
Quite a
No,
few.
quite a few considering that I was in all mornings. I put out quite a few. So, Nikki Winks, I understand you're very educated, but your reading comprehension needs a little bit of work. That's all.
Just a little.
Little. We love you though.
That's true.
Anyway, I'm gonna finish off my blackberry cobbler here. While you do your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. Fuck, man. It's coming to be the end of August. You know, the season's really kicking on. I start youth soccer again, coaching next week. And my biggest pain point with that is this group that is running things keeps inventing new fucking reasons for me to have to go and take time out of my schedule to do bullshit. Like I didn't go to the coaches clinic this past weekend. A, because I was at the barbecue, and B, because I went to it last time and it was the biggest waste of my fucking life ever. Uh, but their coordinator was not too thrilled that I didn't show up. And now they want me to go to a meet and greet this coming weekend, which I'm absolutely not going to do. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm coaching 3 and 4 year olds. I don't think any of them give a fuck if I show up to a goddamn meet and greet. You
The
know, well,
parents are going to want to know, Steve, what you're going to do to to develop their child into a well-rounded high school and college player.
dude, these parents are looking at me like you are 45 minutes of me not having to deal with my kid's energy. That's it. They don't give a shit. All they need to know is that I've passed a background check, and pretty much that's it. Like the bar's pretty low for 3 and 4 year olds. If you can give these parents a break, they're happy. I don't need to go and shake their hands, and I'm not going to go and shake their hands.
Well, guess
Uh,
what? Guess what, Steve? It doesn't end because I'm going to tell you what. When we go for our preseason meeting at Far Post, even at the club level, um, at the premier club level, we go in. We have our meeting with the all the 2012 parents, and the our the boys' parents. I'm going to say are pretty chill. We know what to expect. We know what we're going, what we're looking at, and what our future looks like. These are 12-year-old kids. Uh, I'm gonna tell you, dude. The parents of the girls' team, holy fuck, they went in on the director so badly, and we're like all the boys' side parents were just like looking at each other like, what the hell? They wanted to know exactly what they were doing to um get their kids into ID camps for colleges and for professional teams and that kind of stuff. And it's like these little girls are 11 and 12 years old. Granted, they played our boys team, and they were way more organized than we were. We beat them by like 7 goals, but they were way more organized and better passers than we were. But these are 12-year-old kids, man. Don't put
yeah,
pressure, and people. That's the problem with rec sports, club sports. Is like everybody expects their coaches to be like world class and turn their kid into into a professional athlete, and that's not what it's all about.
yeah. My attitude is if you're a parent to a 3 or 4 year old and you are upset with my coaching philosophy, you can go kick rocks because I do not give a fuck what you think. If you think you can do a better job, by all means, volunteer. You try it out. See what it's like to wrangle 10 3 and 4 year olds for 45 minutes. I can tell you right now, they are not going to listen to you, and they're going to want to just play around and have fun. And that's what I want to instill in them. I want to give them
There you go, Steve.
a positive experience with the sport. I want them to feel like they're enjoying themselves so that as they grow and develop and learn, they have a positive association and may be willing to take it more seriously down the line. But anybody who's got a problem with it at 3 and 4 years old, just absolutely get fucked. I don't care about your opinion at all.
Make sure they don't listen to episode 149 of Wicked Spursy.
Oh, they can listen. I guarantee if you're a reasonable parent to a child of that age group, like myself, if somebody is offering you free childcare for 45, well, it's not really free, they had to pay, but it's childcare for 45 minutes. You're fucking taking it. You're sitting in your beach chair, you're kicking back. You are not thinking about, oh, is this going to develop the passing and dribbling skills that he needs to, join a fucking D1 school in college? Absolutely not.
No, your kid's probably not playing for Vermont Green even.
Yeah, no, done. Pass. Mike, what about you? What closing thoughts do you have?
Closing thoughts, man. For me, school just started today. My kids, we did the whole outdoors, taking pictures. My daughter was absolutely beautiful. She did her hair up and all that stuff. She did the whole first day of school thing. She didn't want the picture taken. She's a sophomore in high school, but um, and my son just had his first day too in seventh grade, so he's now in junior high school, and he's learning what it means to, move around for classes and switch classes and you know and what it means to have different teachers for each class, and maybe get into some homework stuff. Taking his first language, so on top of that, they have these kids are both student athletes, and my daughter's got practice right now. She's at practice till 8 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m., and my son just had practice directly after school. So we're managing that, and school sports are absolutely different than the club sports. Lily's volleyball club is different than her school volleyball, but high school volleyball is very competitive in this state, um, as is middle school soccer. So Lucas got pulled up onto the eighth grade team this year, and some of the seventh graders got pushed down into the sixth grade team. So um, we're gonna see what happens. He's out there with a lot of big kids, a lot of kids who are 14 years old, in eighth grade, and I just he looked good in practice today. He's a good passer. They're playing on a condensed field. Uh, they're playing on a condensed field because they had to share with the fifth and sixth grade team. So I think it's going to be fun. It's school sports for me are super fun. I love being a supportive dad and wearing the school colors and all that stuff, and having some pride for the school that you go to. And I'm just looking forward to the season as we go along here. It's going to be exciting. And on even that on Friday night we have a 3 hour trip to make to Bennington, Vermont. So for for a JV volleyball game. So.
All sorts of fun, huh?
from one tip of the state to the next. So that's my life coming up, and I just want to say that it's uh, being a student is great, but what makes you a more rounded person, in my estimation, is being a student athlete. Um, and no matter what you do for your sport, I think that team sports makes you a more rounded person, and I just look forward to the development.
Sounds
So
fantastic.
yeah. So on our way out of here, I just want to ask you a question. If Dave were here, he'd ask, "Do you have any final words for us, Steve?"
Quiz, 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 quiz.
And
Don't be an asshole. And Mike, what would Dave be asking you if you had any final words?
guys, we got a holiday weekend coming up in the U.S., and I know that it's a bank holiday in the UK right now. So um, you're probably in bed if you're in the UK, but and your bank holiday is probably ended. But for us coming up, we have Labor Day coming up. There's going to be a lot of barbecues, a lot of parties, a lot of people going swimming, fishing, going out on the lakes, and enjoying Fourth of July style barbecue stuff. So I just want everybody to go out there and make sure that, like, whatever you're doing, you're just be safe.
And
Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.